Can you tell me a car that can do this and this all for under 20 grand? It's the Porsche Cayenne.
So the first thing that we did was get these super cool Nomad wheels from Nomad. Now this being the turbo, it has the super big brake rotors and calipers, and the 18-inch wheels clear the rotors and calipers like barely. So this works and allows you to run a 32-inch tire. On the turbos, a 32-inch tire is basically the biggest you can go with the slight relocation of the intercoolers. So we relocated the front intercoolers a little bit by pulling them forward with a special bracket that we made. Eurowides also sells some special brackets. I'm going to put a picture of it right here. You can use those if you're going to run 32s on your turbo. These are 275/65 18s. They're the Pirelli Scorpions. Rivian uses these on their cars and they're pretty efficient. You get a pretty good gas mileage and pretty light for being an off-road tire. That's kind of why I went with these. To make the lift possible, we designed and manufactured our own lift. It's kind of like the Berg performance concept with like being an air pocket in there, except theirs uses a 3D printed pocket, 3D printed mount at the top for the strut mount, versus ours is a solid one-piece aluminum that was machined on the lathe. We use like the same links and everything to adjust the ride height sensors. And yeah, it does not rub. I mean, it rubs a little bit in the front, but in the back, also a little bit in the back actually. So there is some slight rubbing going on in a few spots, as you guys can see here and there. We'll show pictures. But yeah, everything works good. All the ride height settings work perfectly. There's no weird CV binding. And the ride is still almost as stock as it was back then.
So this front bumper has come off probably like 20 different times when we were trying to install the lift kit and put the tires on and off to see where it was rubbing. We did end up having to cut the bottom of the bumper in a few spots kind of across in order to minimize the rubbing with the bigger tire size. Another thing that we modified that wasn't necessary but mainly for looks was the Cayenne turbo sticker. So normally stock it's black and we can insert a picture to show you guys, but in order to match the wheels we decided to change it white to kind of tie in the look a little bit better, and we think it brought it together really nicely.
So on the back there's a few things going on. We have this bumper that we've added, as well as we have the side dump exhaust that's super cool. If you guys come down here, we can show you guys. We chopped off the muffler from its stock location and we took it to a muffler shop. They welded in some V-bands as well as added these MagnaFlow mufflers. That is helping quiet down the car a little bit because it is pretty loud. We'll show you guys a clip of it in a little bit. So if you just put the holes on the sides in the location kind of like that, the muffler shop should basically make all the other changes necessary. We just had to use a Dremel and cut the hole in the plastic there. We cut this with the jigsaw. I was initially going to use like a plasma, but the plasma became unavailable, and then all the fancy hardware holding it in place, that's now starting to fade a little bit. Okay, so on the rear bumper, we're initially going to do a whole custom rear bumper with the tubes as well as a custom cross member. We bought all the tubing for that, and I was going to have our own hitch and everything. But after looking at the design of the factory bumper and seeing how much thought and material went onto this trailer hitch, I thought maybe it's not a smart idea to make my own bumper, just because of the safety for if we ever tow something with this. I really wanted to maintain the factory geometry for the bumper as well as the factory crash supports that are in there. So what we ended up doing was we had this tube that was bent for us. Ouch, that's hot. That was gonna go in this location anyway. And we grinded some material away from the factory bumper and welded this to the bumper that's underneath this plastic piece. And we'll show pictures of it or videos of it now. So we still have to sand this thing down and weld it. You guys can see like right there, we've attached it there from both sides, and there's a plate on the top holding it. There's another piece going on right there that we have to fix up. let's ask Tiffany what she thinks.
I said it was really fun to weld again because I hadn't done it since we did the front bumper on the Sequoia. So I'm getting better.
Yeah.
I personally like it, but it can be obnoxious. I understand that. So when we're going past cops, I'm always just trying to cruise and not trying to cause too much noise because we don't need a ticket. But let's show you guys what it really sounds like.
Tiffany's about to start it, and I'm gonna walk away.
So we didn't really anticipate the exhaust being that loud. I'm not sure if you can hear it in the video very well, but in person it's kind of obnoxious a little bit. But once we chopped off the exhaust from the bottom, it was like 10 times that. So when we got the exhaust rerouted and did all those things, I'm like, you know, it's not so bad. But I think it's definitely adds a cool edge to the car with the exhaust coming out the back. And if we do end up hitting some steep hills or anything like that, we don't have to worry about it getting ripped off from the bottom, because that's happened. I'm not sure if we mentioned this in previous clips when we talked about this car, but when we got it, it was completely full of sand and dog hair, which took like 4 or 5 rounds of vacuuming to get it clean. But in all honesty, the car is basically perfect inside. There's a few blemishes like here on the seat. We have like a few rips, but other than that, headliner is perfectly intact. Yeah, literally everything else is fine. It just really needed a deep clean. One thing we didn't have when we got the car was the stereo system. This was just completely empty, and so we ended up getting this one for I think like $150, I want to say, which was an insane deal. And we found it on like Facebook Marketplace after months of trying to find a solution, like talking to the dealerships and doing all those things. So it was it was a plug and play. So now we have a radio, and it actually unlocked a few more features in the car once that got plugged in. So that was really cool. So because we are, you know, making this luxury car an off-road car, it does come with some great perks. So there is its own rear AC that's controlled, which doesn't come in a lot of, you know, off-road builds that we do. And the rear seats also have seat heaters, which is a game changer, of course, even though it doesn't really get that cold in California, but in the winter months when we're camping, it really does. Since the car is still on airbags, and that's how it comes stock, obviously it has a compressor system to raise and lower the car, and it's actually really cool because that gives you onboard air, which is something that a lot of people pay a lot of money for, but it comes stock with this car. And the port for it is under the passenger seat here, somewhere under there.
It's right there.
We've accessed it like one time, I think, but honestly that's pretty cool when you air down for the trip and then you don't need an additional air compressor, no need to stop at the gas station, your car can do it all. So how we control all of the ride heights, and if we want to do like center lock and all those things, is controlled by this little panel right here. And so this is your ride height, so pushing up you will move up. Right now we're at the second setting because we have the locker on right now, but you still have the sport mode, comfort, normal, all those things that work. And when you hit like a sport mode, for example, I think it lowers it a little bit. So everything in that aspect works, which is really cool. We've had trouble in the past with electronic four-wheel drive systems or all those things, so it's really cool to see it work in action.
Here, we'll show you guys. Let's go into neutral and then switch to different settings. And then so let's do
back to the road. So
yeah, so then here's the thing.
So it'll show you here like what's going on with the car, basically. Go ahead and up, and now it's gonna show that we're locked.
And then that's the low range, and then here's the lock.
Yep.
And then now if you had a rear diff lock, it would, if you go one more time, it would lock your rear diff, but this one does not have that option. So here's the car kind of lowering itself. Try to go down. There you go. You guys can see it's lowering. Is that the middle? Go all the way down. Here's the front dropping all the way down. So it does take a few minutes for it to go between the different settings. It's more meant to be like on the fly changes, and so like if the compressor's charged up, it can make the changes pretty quick. All right, the compressor kicked on and it's gonna raise itself. So usually the front goes first. So here's the one up, so you guys can see the height right there and the height right there. This is the max ride height. You guys can see the height right there. Maybe like 7 inches. Then the back is a little bit more.
But it shows you on here when it's blinking. So it's blinking, which means it's still going. And then once it stays, it'll stay red once we reach that height. And then it also tells you on like the dash here as well, so you know what's going on.
The Cayennes also have this really cool feature where you can unlock the trunk or get access to the trunk through here. Or I think the shocks are out, so yeah, that's a really cool feature to have.
We haven't really off-roaded this car like at all. Like we literally just drove up this hill and we'll show you guys again, but we haven't really gotten the chance to take it anywhere, just because we've been working on it pretty consistently, and so I don't know if we're gonna take it anywhere, to be honest, but I don't think it's gonna do as good as a Sequoia, but I'm curious to see what it can do. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Really hope you guys enjoyed and love our new build as much as we do. It was a long time coming, but we're finally happy enough to show it on our channel, and maybe the next few clips will be us off-roading it, who knows, or maybe it'll find a new home, you know us. Alright, we'll see you guys in the next one.